Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Driven Wild. Today we are talking about DoorDash response to your questions. So recently the Rideshare guy released a video in collaboration with Doordash and Pedro Doordash Santiago on questions that drivers have been asking of the company. I haven't really watched too much of the video. I do think that it would be a good exercise to see what is being said by DoorDash specifically, and I am curious to see how DoorDash is gonna wiggle their way through a lot of these questions. So with that said, I want to go over everything that's being said in this video, how it actually is for gig workers and the company itself and everything in between. So with that said, let's get started.
Hey there, my name is Cody and I'm the head of Dasher and Logistics at DoorDash. What that means is I'm responsible for making sure that dashing is a rewarding experience for everyone like yourselves.
That could very well be just political talk, like that is basically what he is claiming himself to be, not how he actually is, but we'll get into that later on.
I personally love hearing from Dashers. I was part of launching the Dasher Community Council a few years back, which helps us get closer to Dashers and understand the pain points and the problems that we can solve for you. And some of my favorite experiences at DoorDash are out we-dashing and meeting other Dashers while we're completing deliveries.
What he's explaining there is the We Dash program. This is where employees at DoorDash have to be able to complete at least 10 deliveries on a monthly basis, so that way they have a better understanding on how the actual platform works for drivers. I made a video talking all about that. I'll leave that in the description. Feel free to check that out. How much can DoorDash drivers make? Can a Dasher really make $500 a week? I'm surprised that this is actually a question. I feel like almost every market can really hit that. I don't know if that's 100% the case across the board, but that's what I would imagine. But let's see.
The answer is absolutely, full stop. In fact, more Dashers make over $500 a week today than ever before. One of the best parts about dashing is being able to dash when and how you want to dash, and maintaining that flexibility and choice is something that's very important to us. Including tips nationally, Dashers earn over $25 an hour on delivery. And so, yes, you can definitely make over $500 dashing today.
There is a way he put that was actually important to note. Including tips, you can make over $25 an hour. Not DoorDash is actually going to pay you $25 an hour. It is that you will make $25 an hour including tips. That doesn't account for no-tip customers. That doesn't account for a lot of the challenge points that drivers are experiencing, a lot of which are referring to the flexibility he claims to be having with every driver, because in reality those tests that they do saying a lot of drivers make over $25 an hour, that's a market-to-market thing, and the studies that they did were in markets that are larger and during the dinner rush, and that's not surprising at all.
So yeah, I can't disagree. I mean, more Dashers are making more now, or making $500 more now than ever, because I believe, for me, my opinion is there's a lot more people doing DoorDash, so that number's gonna be higher than it's ever been before. And I do believe in most markets you can make $500. I don't think that that's unreasonable. Now, in some markets you're gonna work a lot longer than others. You might drive more miles than others, but $500 is not a lot. It's just not. And I think if you worked 5 days a week, you can make $100 a day in each market. Now, like I said, it's going to take longer some days than others, and longer in some markets than others. But $500 is not unreasonable. More drivers are making $500. I don't think that that's the average by any means.
I think Pedro is bringing up a lot of really good points. There are a lot more drivers now that are actually making $500 a week nowadays, because there are just that many more drivers. Now, that also said, there are also a lot of drivers deactivated. There's a lot of mass deactivations that took place. So is there a lot more drivers? Yes. Is it possible to make $25 an hour in every market. I think that there are going to be a lot more markets that are making a lot less in some and a lot more in others. It really depends on where you are. And I feel like that DoorDash is just avoiding the point that this is a market-to-market answer. How does DoorDash plan to address concerns around the lack of transparency in its tipping policy and ensure that Dashers receive fair compensation for their work? I feel like DoorDash has already planned out this answer so hard. They've already made so many points. From the COO that used to be in place, Christopher Payne, he actually stepped down and has left DoorDash now. Now there's a completely different COO who used to be the CFO that is now in this position. I am interested to hear how someone who's in a lower position than him is actually going to properly explain this.
I want to start with being clear about how tips work. 100% of tips received by DoorDash go directly to Dashers.
That is actually not 100% true. If a customer chooses to go through a platform from the restaurant itself, let's say they're ordering Anthony's Coal-Fired Pizza or Papa John's, the restaurant has the opportunity to reduce the tip upon receiving the order, as well as withhold certain information available on the platform. And DoorDash has justified it, saying they have the freedom to do that. So this has been proven to be a 100% of a lie.
And that is never in doubt.
It is always in doubt.
This is an area that we will continue to invest in. Like, for example, recently launching a feature that allows a customer to increase their tip after delivery, make it easier for them, but not decrease it. And so we'll continue to invest in making this area a lot easier and more clear.
Actually, they did do that. They did give customers an opportunity to add tip post-delivery. I actually made a video talking all about that as well. Feel free to check that out. That's actually a good point that he's brought up.
One thing I noticed right off the bat, he's looking down. So he's clearly reading off something, which makes sense, right?
Also, I do that too. I don't know if you guys notice when I'm actually doing these videos, I actually have a tendency to look down, look up, and that's just because I'm trying to get my thoughts together on the subject at hand. That's not a him thing. That's a being on camera creating content thing. Some people are better about it than others. Some people have it more naturally than others to where they could just keep eye contact with the camera the whole time. I struggle with that. Let's give them the benefit of the doubt on that subject.
Beyond that, there are two things that we think are really important to get right. One is being transparent, and the second is creating equitable outcomes.
Bullcrap. If your goal was to be transparent, you would have been transparent to begin with. But you're choosing to withhold that information. And creating equitable outcomes for who? The customer, the company, or the driver? Let's be honest, it's the company.
On the transparency side, we're really proud that we were one of the first platforms to offer full information up front, including both the full route information of where exactly you were picking up from and where you were going to, and also the minimum guaranteed payout, such that 100% of the time, you never have to wonder whether or not what you're gonna make on a specific delivery.
Not with the hidden tip system. That is a straight lie. You can absolutely tell that this person is basically trying to dance around the truth, even though he is fully aware that this is what they do. He says he dashes himself, but here he is withholding that information.
I'm proud that those are starting to become somewhat normal.
I love how he says somewhat normal, like he knows that he's lying straight through his teeth. Now, here's one thing I do want to say. You can tell he's looking down at his notes. There's nothing wrong with that. But here's the thing. Is it his notes, or is it the notes that DoorDash want him to respond with in the event that he gets this question? Because let's be realistic. DoorDash is not going to change how they operate in this particular way.
The second point is around equitable outcomes. And equity to us is making sure that no matter how you choose to use the platform, you're able to access meaningful opportunities. And so that's something, that flexibility, that choice that I've talked about, that's something that's really important to us. I want to be clear that sometimes these two things can come into conflict with each other. And when that happens, what we do is we try to listen to Dashers as much as we can. We've heard a lot from Dashers on both sides on this, and we've studied the data a lot internally, and we feel good that our current approach results in more drivers taking home more tips. But making sure that you earn a fair amount for the hours you spend on the platform will continue to be one of our top priorities and something we invest in into the future.
What is a fair amount? What is their definition of a fair amount? Because I know a lot of people who can say they have been working 12 hours and earned $80 because they haven't been accepting every single crappy order that they've been sending. So I think that is just the most executive written answer that could possibly come out of this. And the worst part is that this guy is probably going to get the most heat for that, even though, you know, that's coming from upstairs and he's just the messenger in a lot of ways. This is like the unfortunate middle management position to where you are actually pushing to have more transparency. You're trying to do the right thing by the drivers, but then you become the martyr when they don't approve the things you're trying to fight for because you can't get it approved, even though they're stonewalling you. It's such a political move. It's disgusting.
I think what he's saying, there's some merit there, but the main question was the tipping transparency policy. He didn't, he talked about being transparent with mileage and upper information, but he didn't really touch upon why they're not transparent about the tipping and what they show the driver. So maybe the question could have been worded differently. Don't know. As far as fair earnings and things, I mean, I don't have as big of an issue that the tips are hidden because I know how to find them, but the tip transparency and full transparency, because even the offer screen now, many of you guys have seen in many markets, mine, and you guys have said in comments you've seen similar. It doesn't show us item count sometimes. So I think DoorDash does a good job of saying one thing, well, we're transparent doing this, but they don't really touch upon why they're not transparent doing other things, whether it's showing us item count, showing us subtotal, showing us the full tip info. So I think there are things that DoorDash does that is good with transparency, and a lot of other things that are just completely not good at all. So I feel like he kind of got around that question a little bit.
Because it's a political answer. They try to answer the question in a way that keeps them in the least hot water by not answering the question we're actually asking. How does DoorDash plan to address concerns around driver compensation and benefits, particularly in light of the company's recent IPO? I believe the IPO was actually in 2020 or something like that. When that happened, a lot of drivers ended up getting bonuses for that. I'm not even kidding when I say that. I actually got a $500 bonus when that happened. That was a really good day. But I don't think that DoorDash is planning to address compensation in terms of raising base pay or addressing the conversation of benefits, because we're independent contractors, we don't get benefits, but I'm intrigued.
I've talked a lot about compensation so far, so maybe I'll just talk about one more thing and then we'll talk a little bit about benefits. Something I've heard a lot recently, and we've heard at DoorDash a lot recently, is around the desire to be rewarded based on the high quality service that you provide.
Being rewarded for the high quality service we provide. I guess there is a certain point to where people really do go above and beyond for certain customers, and they just end up getting a large pool of problems because of that. Like, they have to put in so much effort for certain customers, and usually those are the customers that don't tip as well. So I guess there is a point to where people should be compensated better if they are putting in more work and putting in more effort towards the individual customer.
We're excited to start addressing this in a meaningful way, and the recent launch of Priority Access is one example. And so in addition to what I talked about with transparency and equitable outcomes, you'll see rewarding start to become one of the key pillars that we focus on and talk about.
So it didn't take long. We're 3 minutes and 46 seconds into the video here from them. He's talking about the rewards. We want rewards. They're giving us rewards. Diamond program, mentions Diamond program, right? He's saying they heard from Dasher saying we want to be rewarded for our service and our ratings and things like that, metrics. Diamond program hit my market. A lot of Dashers hate it. Some Dashers are taking advantage of it. You put a comment down below what you think of what your experience has been like. But DoorDash does these things for their benefit, but also a lot of drivers want to be rewarded for the things that they do, taking more orders, having a good rating. So I think some of these programs that DoorDash puts in, it's because we're asking for it and we're asking to be rewarded. And And some people say, well, that's an employee mindset. It's this, it's that.
Hey, look, if you actually want to have access to the high pay order program, the diamond markets, all power to you. No one can tell you how to actually drive for DoorDash. That is one of the best parts about being an independent contractor. You can actually choose how you make money. If you want to do the shop and deliver orders, go for it. You want to get the high pay order program, go for it. You want to cherry pick and multi-app, go for it. But just understand there are benefits and disadvantages with what pathway you choose.
When it comes to benefits, we continue to be vocal in our support of creating greater protections for you all while protecting that flexibility and independence that we've talked about. We were the first national delivery platform to offer occupational accident insurance, which is 100% free to you, and it covers you in the event of an injury that occurs on a DoorDash delivery. Again, you don't have to apply. This is 100% free. Or perhaps leveraging our Dasher Direct program as one of the pillars of our gas rewards program last year, such that when the price of gas increased rapidly, the impact that had on your bottom line was greatly reduced. We'll continue to invest heavily behind the Dasher Direct program. Most recently, we launched a partnership with Avibra, where you can get access to free life and AD&D insurance. Also, for $1 a week, there are some ancillary services you can get access to, which includes roadside assistance, and some other features as well.
There's a lot of things that were mentioned in that sentence, so let's make sure we address almost all of it. Occupational accident insurance, there are two types that they have. There is insurance that you can get in the event that you get into a car accident, where if your car is damaged, you can actually utilize their insurance. That's assuming insurance isn't going to cover it. Same with occupational accident insurance. It also only applies if you picked up the customer's order and you're on your way to deliver it. That's a completely different problem. It doesn't apply when you're on your way to the restaurant. It doesn't apply when you don't have a delivery, only when you've picked up the order and have not dropped it off. Dasher Direct has already proven to be a really risky part of DoorDash to be a part of, because there are a lot of drivers that ended up losing thousands of dollars because they were wrongfully deactivated or deactivated in a way where DoorDash just didn't want to pay them for the work that they did. Bud Soda lost $2,000. Uber Lyft Phoenix lost $1,700. It's honestly kind of frightening that this continues to take place, and they still act like it's safe to keep your money with them. That's insane. Now, as far as the other benefits go, I'm glad that there are certain discounted programs that we can have access to in the event that we need like health insurance and stuff like that, but take it at your own risk.
We'll also continue to partner with companies and organizations to make sure that you can hit your financial goals, whether that be TurboTax to help you with your taxes, Shell to help on gas prices, or the National Urban League just to help you make sure that you're hitting your goals and what you're trying to achieve.
Shell is probably one of the most expensive gas stations out there. Getting a reduction in cost on that front is actually going to just bring it down to its normal price, if not less. TurboTax is one of the ways where you can actually do your taxes. I'm a personal believer that working with an accountant, while it may be a little bit more expensive, it'll save you more time and actually will take out all the guesswork and what is okay in your industry and what isn't.
So dropped a little bit of a gem there. I don't know a lot of us really knew this. I didn't know about it, about the insurance benefit. If you get hurt, something happens while you're on an active delivery, there's some benefits to you. That's a good thing.
If you guys don't know about it, I made a video talking about that as well. I'll leave it in the description. Feel free to check it out. I know that we're plugging a lot, but we're also bringing up each of those subjects. How does DoorDash ensure the safety of its drivers, particularly in light of reports of violence against delivery drivers? Honestly, the only reason I don't cover all of the incidents that take place is because they happen so often, it's actually frightening. I already have a hard enough time covering content I want to cover, let alone this kind of content that actually happens on pretty regular basis. In Tampa, a woman was kidnapped during a delivery and violated and assaulted, and they still haven't caught the guy.
Helping you all stay safe on the road is something that's incredibly important. We're proud that 99.99% of deliveries that happen on the platform occur without a safety incident. However, even one is too many. This is an area that we're continuing to invest in, and we've increased our investment in recent years. I think since November, we've actually launched 11 new safety features, and we'll continue to show that progress as we go through this year and in future years as well. When it comes to safety, we think of it in three parts: before, during, and after a dash. We know that before a dash, there's a lot that's happening while you're dashing, particularly when you're new to the platform. And so making it easier to understand what the expectations are, how the app works, making that onboarding process smoother is something that we think is important. During a dash, I think the Safe Dash toolkit that's in the app is obviously the biggest, most visible part of this, where you can click a button and have access to ADT or a 911 immediately. Whatever happens, you have the access at your fingertips. We also focus on how do we reduce the edge cases that can happen and keep you safe while dashing. Whether that is making it easier for you to not have to respond to customers by informing them that you're actively on a delivery and driving, or whether it's shutting down in the cases of an extreme weather scenario where you're not put in a position to have to choose between dashing and deciding to go out in a blizzard. Or in the event that something catastrophic happens, how can we identify it and prevent dashers like yourselves from entering a situation like that? Most recently, there was an active shooter at a mall, and within 3 minutes, we had intervened in the situation and made sure that we had prevented other drivers from coming into the area, and also had provided help to any drivers that were located within the immediate area as well. After a dash, we have a 24/7 trust and safety line that you can get access to and make sure that no matter what time of day, no matter what's happened, you have access to someone on our team that can help you. In addition to our, like I said earlier, our national occupational accident insurance program, which again is free to you, no need to apply, and it covers you in the event of an injury that happens on a delivery.
I know that DoorDash implemented a large amount of safety features. I actually covered all of them. And honestly, there's really only so much they could do already, but to be honest with you, they actually did a lot more than what most companies would do in their position. So I can't even be mad at them for saying it like that. That's actually pretty accurate, even though it's pretty political. Is it still worth it to do DoorDash? Obviously, he's gonna be like defending his company because that's exactly what he has to do.
Absolutely. Today, I think DoorDash is more valuable and flexible than ever. As I mentioned at the top of this, more drivers are making over $500 a week today than ever before. And we're proud to offer ways for millions of people to have access to earnings in the way that they need. On average, we know that Dashers spend in the US less than 4 hours a week on delivery, and 90% of you spend fewer than 10 hours a week. Almost half of our Dashers have a full-time job elsewhere where you work 30 hours a week. Some of you are saving for a new car, some are building a nest egg, others are paying off debt. Whatever your unique situation, we want to make sure that we can provide the flexibility and choice that you need and the earnings opportunities to get you into the goals that you want to achieve.
Like I said, he's going to defend his company because that's what he's paid to do. It doesn't mean it's inaccurate. There's a lot of people who will still say DoorDash is still the best in their market. It just means he's going to defend his company. I feel like that was a silly question to ask him.
And I've been a component of DoorDash for a while. I've given them crap when they do things that are weird. I've made good videos, bad videos, but mostly, do I think DoorDash is still worth it? That's a personal question. It's going to depend upon your market, how much time you put into it, what your goals are. DoorDash to me, and what he said, it's an opportunity, whether it's to pay off debt, to save for this, to buy a new car, go through school. And also, he just dropped some information on us. most people that do this don't do this for more than 4 hours a week. 90%, I believe he said, do it less than 10.
And they mostly do it during the dinner rush and everything else, and that's a very good point. And I feel like this is the person, Pedro, Doordash, Santiago, as well as other content creators, they're the people who can answer that question honestly. If you ask someone who is working for a company and their interest is to bring on more Dashers and to make Dashers happier and things like that, they're going to tell you what the company wants to tell you, not the truth. Whether it's the same or whether it's different. And yeah, this is a personal question. I feel like, is DoorDash still worth it? Is really going to be based on your personal situation, your market, and who you are. And I feel like experience is going to answer that question more than any person can. You know, honestly, I think this was a very interesting video. I think Pedro has made a lot of really good points. I don't think they would ever do like a live thing again because I feel like DoorDash knows that they can't be asked more direct questions in a direct way like that because they don't want to be in the position of being asked a question in a way to where they feel like they're being interrogated rather than interviewed. So I kind of understand why DoorDash would hide up in their high horses. But honestly, I think DoorDash at this point has already lost a lot of trust among a lot of drivers to where they could be 100% truthful from now on. A lot of people are still going to question whether or not they're honest. Overall, this was a very interesting video. I wasn't sure if I wanted to make a reaction video like this, but this was actually very interesting to me, and I'm glad that there's a lot of information that isn't as aware now. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. As always, make sure to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace!